Greetings, makers. This is Amy with Soft Twin Crafting. I'm an independent demonstrator from Stampin' Up, and I'm here to show you what I have done with my May paper pumpkin this month. Now, normally, I'm really bad about keeping up with my paper pumpkins, and I usually fall behind, and the last couple of months I've been really good about pulling them out and getting started on them. But I do like to look at how people are making alternative projects out of these kits. This time I decided I don't want to look at any alternatives until I make some for myself. I wanted to see if I could come up with some ideas. Now I'm sure they'll be similar to some of the demonstrators out there, but I wanted to see if I could come up with anything. So let's take a look at this paper pumpkin kit. Now I have already cut mine up. When I got this particular kit, and this is the kit right here, I wasn't very excited about it. I was kind of hoping for something 4th of July, and I realized because Paper Pumpkin is now global, 4th of July being only a U.S. holiday, it would be hard to kind of package that for the entire world. So I could see them wanting to do something for like all these celebrations that are coming up in June, like graduation, weddings, whatever it could be that could possibly come out. But June is a big celebratory month, I guess, around the world as well. Anyway, I decided I wanted to see what I could do with these paper pumpkins. So I'm going to show you 3 alternatives that I have come up with for this particular kit at the get-go. Now, what I did is I took the card bases, all the card bases, and I did cut them up. So I cut them each in half so that I would have 2 cards from each card base. Okay, so that is what we're going to work with. I have, and you can see in here, it's all kind of messed up in here because I have all the pieces already pulled apart, so I knew what I had to work with. I have the card bases. I haven't cut the envelopes yet. I'm thinking about that, but I haven't come up with anything using that yet. But I just wanted to kind of start with the general pieces. So they're not going to be anything off different from the cards, but they are. And anyway, so I'm going to start with the first card I made. Let me pull out all the pieces that kind of go with it, as well as the card. I'm trying to untangle everything. Okay, so this is the first alternate I made. And so I used the stamp that came with the kit. And let me see if I can find it right here. So here's the stamps that we got with this particular kit. Okay, it says here, wishing you happiness. You are invited in time to celebrate. There's some fireworks. There are some little stars, and there is like this bush. A bush or treetops, whatever you want to do. It comes out with a really hedgy, piney looking edge to it. Anyway, that's what I did down here. So my initial idea was to have a park bench, but I don't have anything that has a park bench, so that didn't work out very well for me. So making my alternatives, I did use a lot of retired things because I wanted to use what I had in my stash. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and let me show you how I made this particular card. All right, so I got the fireworks. This came from the kit. Okay, this was one of the card bases that I cut into 2. And it was supposed to go in this direction, and I'm keeping in this direction as well. And then I have a piece of smoky slate that measures 8.5 by 5.5, and I scored it at the 4 1/4. Okay, so let me just go ahead and turn it this way. Okay. And what we're going to do is I'm going to start with the first layer. And I'm going to grab my Secret C. That's what I used in stamping this. We grabbed the bush stamp. And I need a block. Okay, so whoops, let's get it a little straighter than that. Not that that matters too terribly much. Okay, so I did do it in secrecy. The kit comes with a ink spot of Misty Moonlight, and when you do it on the other two cards as it was directed, it's going to turn make a green color. Okay, so I'm just going to come, and I'm going to come down to the bottom of the card, and I'm just going to stamp. And I'm just going to go across the bottom of the stamp. I'm going to overlap a little bit. Oops. Come over here and do the same thing. And one more. All right. Let me close this before I... Now to save time, I already stamped out and cut out a moon. And this moon came from a retired set called To the Moon. And here's the moon, and I actually even used this I don't know if you can see it, this moon here, and then the congratulations that's in the stamp set. So I used these, and what I did is I stamped this in smoky slate, and then I used one of the old layering circle dies to cut this out, because I could have cut it out by hand, but my cutting, sometimes my fussy cutting doesn't always look that great. So I wanted to make sure that I got a good circular look to my moon. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this, and I'm just going to turn so we can see the spots of the moon better. And I'm going to glue that. So let's add some glue to the back here. And I'm just going to do it to the corner, to the almost to the edge of this guy. Okay. Now for the fireworks, it is going to line up on the edge here, but part of the firework here is going to be off the top. Okay, and that's fine. So when I did this, I wanted more of my moon showing, so I actually moved it over. So when I put my dimensionals, I want to make sure that I don't put them right up here against the edge and up here against the top. So I'm just going to turn that over, and I'm going to add some old pieces that I've already got cut up of the edges, and we're going to... This is from a paper pumpkin kit. I finally used them up. And we're going to do one more right there. All right, so here we go. So let's go ahead and take off the backings. I think that's about as 4 is my limit, and then it doesn't want to do any more. Okay, so this is my take your pick tool, by the way. I find it very convenient for doing a bunch of different things. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to bring this over so they are off the edge. Okay, and now I'm going to cut those pieces off. Just kind of lining it up. Okay. And now, oh, you know what I didn't do? That's so terrible. Well, oh well, just leave it as it is. I forgot. I thought I had cut it down previously. I'm going to have to remind myself that I didn't do it on those. But I trimmed this actually down to 3 to 4 by 5 1/4, and well, I could still do it. So let me grab my trimmer. So I'm just going to come to the bottom here, take that down to 4, and this will be a little trickier since I've already got the things on dimensionals here, but we're going to make it work. And that wasn't so horrible. Well, maybe it was, because it didn't cut through all the way. Let's try one more time. Okay. Smooth it out a little bit. So, see, you get to see mistakes being fixed as in real time. All right, so that going to give me my border of smoky slate around the edge. So, okay, let's go ahead and add some. Thank goodness I hadn't put the glue on already, because been there, done that, and then I get glue all over my paper trimmer, and I don't like that. All right, so we're just going to try to get the borders even all the way around. Okay. And then I'm going to take and again add some, you can see I made a mistake. Mine wasn't very straight the first time, so I turned it over and stamped on the other side. So now I'm going to add some dimensionals to the back of my sentiment or greeting. And the thing is, I was going to heat emboss this in silver, and then I decided probably wouldn't show up very well. So not the best embossing job I ever did, but it's okay. And so we're going to go ahead and just kind of put it right here at the bottom of our card. And I'm not doing it in the middle. I'm kind of like not doing it all the way over, but kind of in the, I don't know how to say, about a third of the way over. Let's make sure I'm getting it straight. There we go. And so the last little piece would be, besides the inside, which you could do anything you wanted with the inside, we are going to add some iridescent rhinestones to the fireworks. So I'm going to use a large one for the large firework, and then this large, a medium one for medium, and then I'm going to use smalls for these three over here. And that basically is our first alternative. It doesn't look too different from what was in the kit. I did go landscape. I don't have any of the, I didn't add these extra fireworks. Okay. And I added the moon and tried to do the fireworks off center instead of kind of on the over the whole front of the card. So a little different, and adding the bushes down here as well to make you feel like you're kind of at the park. Anyway, so that's my first alternative to this particular paper pumpkin set. So let me put these aside. All right, so the next one I did is this one. And it, again, uses retired Stampin' Up! Products. So for the card base, I used Coastal Cabana, and I used the perennial dies. I used Daffodil Delight, which is the largest of the perennial dies. I used the two smaller dies here to do Happy Birthday, and then this and the flags, they came from the Tree Lot die set, and of course the light bulbs were part of this Stampin' Up! Kit. So let me show you how I put this together. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to give this a good crease, which I didn't do to the other one, but I want to do that here. All right, so this is our regular size standard card base, and this was the largest of the perennial dies in Daffodil Delight. So we will need to take this card base, and we're going to need to cut it down so that it fits within the Daffodil Delight. So let me grab my trimmer, and we're going to bring this down to 5, I believe 5 inches. I'll have to let's make sure. Nope, a little more than 5 inches. Okay, so let's do 4 3/4, 4 3/4. Okay, and then I cut off the bottom. Let's go to 3 1/2. Okay. And so now it's going to fit in the postage stamp. All right, so let's go ahead and glue that in. Now I am using, like I said, a lot of retired things, but I just felt like they would go really well with this particular set, especially when I think about the summer and I think about camping and having a little trailer to be able to go camping. My father always would string lights around his camper as well. I'm going to go ahead and put this on the card base. And so that was my first thought when I saw this. I was like, oh my goodness, camping. It makes me think of camping. I know for a lot of people, you're not going to think of camping when you see stringed lights for the summer, but I do. Again, so for the camper, okay, this is from the Tree Lot dies, and we're going to go ahead and kind of put our little RV camper together. And I used Coastal Cabana and Basic White for it as well. And because I just think, I don't know, I think it looks good. These are two good colors, I think. And it does go well with, of course, with the card. It matches the card base. Okay, so we'll stick that there for the moment. All right, so on this one, I used for Happy Birthday, I stamped it in Blackberry Bliss, but I used the stamp, the Happy Birthday stamp from the April Paper Pumpkin Kit. Okay, so I have it already here on a block. And I'm just going to stamp it in the center of my, this is not the smallest perennial rectangle. It's the next one up, and then this is the one that that goes around it. Okay, so, oh, wow, that's definitely not on the block straight. Okay, so, sorry if my head gets in the way. All right, so there we go. And now we're going to go ahead and glue that on there. Right. And I'm going to take these flags and I'm just going to kind of like add them to the top of our little stamp, just kind of give it a more festive feel. I don't know, flags always make, there's always a little bit of festivity to them with the lights, and you add a little flags. I guess I could have hung them to the RV. What do you think? Here, like I have up here, or along the RV, like the RV. I'm going to put them on the RV this time because it's like the RV is having a little party. Now we're not done with the RV because we're going to definitely, we don't want it to be see-through. So I have the little pieces, and hopefully I didn't lose the little, and I knew this would happen. The little circle for the wind for the door seems to have disappeared. Oh, and it's gonna, well, I'll just have to pretend it's there. I'll show you how I filled it in, and we'll have to pretend because I'm not seeing it. Not seeing it on the floor either. And I don't know where it disappeared to. Well, that's a shame. All right, so what I did is I went ahead and glued this on, and I kind of put it in this corner so we can see the bigger lights. Okay. And then for the RV, we're going to put up on dimensionals. And I'm going to need some mini dimensionals for this. Okay. I was like, I don't see where I put my pick your tool, but I see it as soon as I started taking off the pieces. So we're going to put the RV right here. Now what I did is I cut out, I had cut the RV out twice, one in the Coastal Cabana and one in Basic Gray, so I could get the inside to put on our RV. And what we're going to do is we're just going to add a couple of mini dimensionals. Actually, one should be good. And what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of stick it in the window so that it's not this see-through bit like you go, oh, it's hollow to the other side. Okay, trying to get my, let's get it in there first, and then we can fiddle around with the flags. Well, this was a lot easier off camera than it is on camera, that's for sure. Okay, there we go. And then the same process would be with the circle and the door. You can see the same thing, go through the same process, just putting it on a dimensional and putting it in the door if I knew where that dot had gone. And I'll probably find it as soon as y'all are, I'm off camera. All right, so then we're going to take some mini dimensionals again and put them on the back of the lights. Just thought they would be a great accent for happy birthday. Okay. And what do you think? I put the large one over here. But what do you think about it over here, and then the little one over here? Let's try that. And when you do the inside, the insert for your card, okay, one of the things that you can do is take the piece that you trimmed off and add it as an accent to your insert. Okay, so just gonna, now this is longer than the insert. But you can, of course, trim it off just like we did with the fireworks. And if you want to stamp something on the inside, you certainly can. And then there we go. All right. So that we have our second alternative done as well. So if you don't have the tree lot dies, look for the things you have. If you have that new water side retreat, you could do a chair and put it right here, because I mean, people do sit out and relax under the lights. Okay, so that could be a possibility if you have something in your stash that has a park bench. My initial thought was park bench, but I don't have a park bench, so that did not work out in my favor. All right, so the last alternative I did was this. My daughter got me this paper, the sunset, I don't know what it's called, sunset something. Scenic Coast. I thought it had something, they were all sunset, so I thought it was sunset. Scenic Coast designer paper for Mother's Day, and I'm very happy. It's such a beautiful paper. And so what I did is I used, again, the seagulls that came from last month's paper pumpkin. The flowers themselves come from an old, very old paper pumpkin, and I don't even know what month that was. And let me see if I can find, nope. I thought I had the stack of dies right here next to me, and now I can't find them, which is not unusual because I can hardly ever find anything. I'm a messy crafter, and so I can't find things. I think I lay them out and then they disappear on me. So, well, I was going to show you the stamp, and I guess I can't even stamp it to show you how I colored it, but that's okay. We'll just move on. Anyway, what I did to make this card is I used a balmy blue base to match the sunset paper. I'm using a different sunset than I used in this particular window, just because I didn't want to use all my paper on one particular sunset. And there was lots of different sunsets. They're all pretty. So, all right, so we're going to use this. So I have the window. This came from the paper pumpkin kit. Okay, this window ledge is from the paper pumpkin kit. This is the designer series paper, and I already cut it down to fit behind the window. Okay, and then this is the piece that's left over, and I thought we could add it to the insert for this particular card, which I don't know what happened to it. So again, lots of things interesting. And this is the stamp that came from a previous paper pumpkin. It's the one that has the boots, like the rain boots, and has a little house with it, like the front door. So it's kind of has a little scenery. And what I did is I stamped this and I colored it with the blends. And I colored it, the flowers on this one, strawberry slush, because they have a big strawberry slush color combo on this particular scene. And this, if you see this paper, see how it has this, I don't know if you can, it's coming up on camera, but it has this really shiny element to it. So pretty. All right, well, anyway, so let's go ahead and get started. So what I did is I started by taking the window, and I'm going to add some dimensionals around the bottom. Okay, because I want to pop this particular window up on dimensionals so it looks like it's away from the ocean. Okay, so we're just going to come along. Then a few more of these because they're littler. And I could have swore I saw my take your pick tool laying right here, and then I moved everything, and here it is. I guess I could have added one up there. Go back. It's full. Uh-oh. Okay, let me add one more here at the very tippy top. Okay, so now what I want to do, and I actually did not trim this evenly. I really wanted the sunset to show up on one side of the window more than the other, so not dead centered where you wouldn't be able to see it. So I cut the paper so that it would be seen through the window. Okay. So now we have that kind of that raised, and you can pull these open if you want that to look like the window's open. I just wanted a little bit on there. All right, so now we're going to put this base to the card. Oops, it's a little slanted. Just give me a second. See if I can straighten it out a bit. Okay, so now we're going to add some glue to the back. And we're going to add this to our card base. And this one is the same size as the front of the card. And this one, you can see I trimmed it down a little bit. Okay. Again, I thought I had done that. Man, I'm not very prepared on doing these at the last second paper pumpkin reveals. All right. And so what I'm going to do now is we're going to grab from today's paper pumpkin right here. And we're going to put the wishing you happiness. And we're going to put that along the ledge. So let me lay that on there and get that on a block. And I'm going to grab my secret seed. And here's hoping I get this on there and it's straight. Okay, pretty good. Get this out of the way. Turn this over. Let's add some dimensionals to the back. Now, when I saw this was like kind of like a windowsill type piece to do your stamp, the first thing I thought of was, oh, we need something to sit on the windowsill by the window, and I thought plants. Oops, that's not up high enough. Okay, and so with my flowers, I want them to kind of sit like it's back on the sill, so I am not going to pop it on dimensionals. I mean, you could if you wanted to. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. You only want to do it on one side because you have the window opening and you don't want to trying to get it pushing through that particular opening. So now you could add a little bit of glue if you want to, but I think this should be okay. And then the inside, again, you can decorate. Again, I didn't cut some inserts, but I planned on using the piece that I cut off from the sunset to put on my insert to the inside of my card. But anyway, this is my paper pumpkin alternates for the May pumpkin paper pumpkin kit. So see, on this one I did do that. I used the trim piece. I just put it on the inside. Let's take a look at these again. We have these two cards as well, and this one as well. So those are my the 3 that I came up with so far still have lots of pieces left to make lots more cards. So if you're interested, let me know. And I'd appreciate if you could leave me a like if you liked what you saw in the video. If you're interested in subscribing to Paper Pumpkin, I'd love to be your demonstrator here at Stampin' Up! And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. You can shoot me an email at softwindcrafting@gmail.com. So give me shoot me an email if you have any questions. Again, thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time.